Welcome to Switzerland, proof that more is not always better. Its convoluted focus tree is a straight-up nightmare, where one wrong move can permanently lock you out of more interesting stuff. It's a really daunting experience, which is why the last time I did a guide on Switzerland, I chose to turn off BBA completely. But after all, I paid for it, so I guess I just have to bite the bullet and make sense of its focus tree, so you don't have to. We will start off with this focus. I mean, what other focuses are there? There's only this focus. We will then go down the path that gives us civilian factories, and then we will rush fascism as fast as possible. Here, you will see the fascist branch splits into two. We will take the branch on the left first, because it gives us fascism support and will make the whole process when we take the right branch smoother. We will then choose Hen over Tobler. This is because Hen's path allows us to become fascist faster. But don't worry, we are not going to end up as a German puppet. In fact, we will be pulling an Uno reverse on Germany. Now, rushing fascism means that we will be locking ourselves out of this portion of the focus tree, which will in turn lock us out of hiring an army advisor. But this run is a blitzkrieg run, so that doesn't matter and we do not need an army advisor at all. We will be able to get more than enough army XP from our other focuses to help us create the templates we need. Production-wise, it's just the bare basics, plus transport planes. As expected, we will only trade with France. For this entire run, our research will only be industry and infantry equipment. In electronics, we'll only research EME and radios. We will not touch any of the computing techs. They don't give good return on investment prior to 1940. After that, focus all your research on infantry equipment. And also research artillery. Ignore both anti-air and anti-tank. Also ignore research here. All our trucks shall come from plunder. We will also not be researching air. We will simply murder some major nations and license their planes. And don't forget to research paratroopers. This is optional, but you can also research naval invasion tech. For construction, it's mills all the way. Our next focus will be the one that gives us civilian factories and consumer goods reduction. This is crucial because we will be manually building an intelligence agency. The 2 extra factories and the consumer goods reduction will be just enough to allow us to create an agency. Of course, we shall be neutral no more. These election events are basically asking you which advisor to get rid of. Among the 3, Albert Meyer is the most useless because he gives us boost to civilian construction, and we will be building mills all the way. So, we elect him. And we replace him with a fascist. With our first 200 PP, we manually oust a democratic councillor. We only do this once. This step is crucial to ensuring we have enough fascist support to progress with our focus tree later on. Once the council seat is empty, we of course replace him with another fascist. For the events regarding the assassin, we will choose the trial options all the way. Ironically, on our path to fascism, we don't care about our relations with Germany, but we very much care about our relations with France, because we are trading with France. And the reason why we are doing that is because they will be the first to die by our hands. So whatever boost we gave to their industry will become ours. We can start our artillery research. There's no need to rush paratroopers in 1936 yet. As you can see, we now have 6 civilian factories for use, just enough to create an agency and still have 1 left over for construction. From here on, only one way to go, spiritual defense, and then we will continue down the fascist tree, fortifying our border with France and buying German planes. Once our agency is created, we can choose any 5 upgrades. We need 5 upgrades to recruit a second agent. Our first agent will be sent to build an intel network in Germany. Once this is done, you will see that we are still unable to do the right branch, as we still need the balance of power to move left. This is just as well, because there's no point in rushing it just yet. The left branch gives us more fascism support, which we will need to build on earlier in order to progress with the focus tree later on. The balance of power decisions can be found here. Like I said earlier, there's no need to rush. We will do these decisions when we are closer to doing the right branch, because the more to the left the balance of power is, the more expensive our political advisors will be. The next election, we get rid of our final democratic minister. We don't have any more fascist advisors, so we replace him with a corporatist, reducing democratic support and furthering our cause. Now is also a good time to take some BOP decisions. We will be earning a lot of command power, so don't forget to promote a lot of generals. Now we will start the right branch of the fascist tree. It's pretty straightforward, just keep an eye out on your BOP. Also keep an eye out on your transport plane production line. Since the update that came with AAT, transport planes have been made much more expensive. So once we get to 50 transport planes, we will immediately trash that line and use our mill factories for other stuff. We can also start spamming out militia units. Now we have 50 transport planes, so we trash that line. Don't forget to terminate your rubber trade with France. That's a rookie mistake that even I fall for sometimes. This is self-explanatory. Choose option 2 as it gives us the most fascist support. And we are abandoning our neutrality. After that, we are promoting Hen. To recap, we are promoting Hen because it allows us to instantly flip fascist. Upon completing this focus, the fascists immediately come to power. If we choose to promote Tobler instead, we will still need to do 3 focuses. Again, I assure you, we are not going to become a German puppet. Once we finish this focus, we can start working on our other industry focuses. Our final election. We oust the guy who has been helping us to crack down on democracy. But this time, we hire an intelligence officer. This is because we will be using both of our current agents to do a collab government on Germany, and we will need a third agent to maintain the intel network. And this is the moment we've been waiting for. We have a lot of things to do on this first day. We work our way down to professionalize militias, so that we can train our paratroopers and regular infantry. Also get war economy. This is especially crucial as it affects the speed of our collab government operations. Now that we are fascists, we can and will immediately start preparing a collaboration government in Germany. Check comments when ready. And we will now start justifying a war goal on France. What else were you expecting? We also justify a war goal on Japan to raise world tension. Remember to cancel and re-justify 1 day before completion. Raising world tension allows us to justify war goals faster later on. Also get military access from Italy. Yep, these operations sure are expensive indeed. It looks like we'll have to dump all our factories on guns in order to meet the requirement. Once our first level of collab is done, we immediately prepare another level of collab. We will take 8 of our mountaineers and convert them to paratroopers. The other mountaineers need to be converted to standard infantry divisions first. Now it's pretty standard. We plan paradrops on France's biggest cities. We also want to edit our infantry battalion to 5 infantry for now. You may have to adjust your production lines accordingly. Now we get to what is probably the most tedious and stressful part of this run. I recommend you make a backup save before attempting your paradrops on France. There is always the very small chance that France may garrison Paris. And if that happens, just reload and wait around 1 to 2 days before declaring on them again. Once we declare war on France, we take advantage of the boost to our justification speed and justify on another country. I like to do Yugoslavia just in case I need to Zara cheese Italy later on. Also, I get Romania for free. Just don't do Czechoslovakia because around this time Germany will demand the Sudetenland, and if Czechoslovakia is at war and in the Allies, they will refuse, Germany will come in and steal all your war score. We will perform the 1 AM exploit on France. In case you didn't know what that is, we will save and load the game at 1 AM each day so that France will be unable to call in the UK. However, this run in particular has one important caveat that we must remember. Since we share a direct land border with France, there's a very high chance that France will put planes up in the Alpine region. Therefore, we must set our game on 5 speed so that in the event France does so, the game will be unable to recognize that there are even planes in the air. I've added a link in the description below to a more detailed explanation of this exploit to paradrop in red air, which is also why paradropping France in this particular run is more stressful. Since we're on 5 speed, if you're not careful and accidentally let the day slip into 2 AM, UK will be called in and this run is ruined. Which is why I advise you to make frequent backup copies of your saves. In this run, however, I was lucky as France didn't put planes up at all. In the peace deal, we will annex all non-core territories of France, as well as those Alpine territories that we want to core later. However, we will leave the original France alive in one small territory. In this case, that little island off the coast of Canada. And we will puppet another France in its core territories. I call this method pseudo-puppeting. Somehow, the new France, which will have a tag of D something, will give you more troops than the original France. This is very helpful because we will have to attack Yugoslavia in less than 25 days. Also, the reason why we annex all non-core territories of France is because for some reason, if the new France doesn't hold any non-core territories, all its troops will spawn on its core territories, so we don't have to transport them from halfway across the globe. In contrast, if you puppeted OG France, not only will you get fewer troops, but some of these troops may be far away in Indochina or some random Pacific islands. Not ideal when you're trying to rush down the UK. Now, in order to bypass training limits, we must first train our infantry divisions, and then edit them to a decent 9-1 template. If we edited the templates first, we will only be able to train 10 of them, rather than 21 as seen here. Remember to adjust your production accordingly and toggle your garrisons on and off if needed. Request all forces from your new French puppet. Note that they all spawn within mainland France. Ready your troops at the ports. We now have one dockyard and can start making convoys. We can also begin research on the more advanced infantry equipment. We plan paradrops to Portsmouth and Dover and their surrounding towns. The pesky British will guarantee the Yugoslavs, and once we declare war on them, we can attack the UK. The UK is not very strong, but don't get complacent. Rush their gaps and snipe as many VPs as you can. Remember that we have an abundance of command power, so don't hesitate to use force attack or last stand if you need to. Or at war with the UK, you can also get some fast and cheap war goals on any nations you fancy. Before capping UK, we justify a war goal on Germany. I justified on another country, in this case Luxembourg first, to give myself some more time to finally cap the UK. You don't have to do this, however, because our war goal on Germany is for a claim state and hence will not expire. Again, once UK caps, we will apply pseudo-puppeting to the UK. In this case, I will leave them alive on the Falkland Islands, since they want it so much. Remember to take all their non-core territories, so that all their troops will spawn in Europe. The British pseudo-puppet can be very strong, oftentimes contributing 60 to 80 basic infantry units, more than enough to order 66 Germany. The original UK on the Falkland Islands guaranteed Luxembourg, but because they had no more core territories, they capped the instant I capped Luxembourg. Done right, our second collab will be ready on the 30th of December. They are ripe pickings for Order 66, so we can now join the Axis. Even after joining the faction, our war goal will remain. Now comes another tedious but rewarding part. We take our expeditionary forces and send them to garrison as well as surround Germany's victory points. Once we are ready, we delete all the expeditionary forces. We leave the faction and immediately declare war. Within the same hour, request back the expeditionary forces and press H to halt. Now we just use the surrounding troops to attack the VPs that have not been taken yet. The Germans are encircled, so it's an easy fight. We have an abundance of command power, so split out the attacking units, put them under a general, and force attack. Also keep an eye on units who have successfully taken VPs but are under assault. Use last stand where necessary. Also justify on Italy. You know, I'm starting to think that this is a little too easy. Where exactly is all the power that Germany in HOI4 is so famous for? Well, I guess one can't do that much when you have this many enemy troops deep behind your lines. The steps in this peace deal are very important. We must puppet Germany at least in all the Austrian core states. Because later on, as we progress with our focus tree, we will be politely asking them for those territories. And what's stupid is that we can't outright annex these territories, even if we want it. They have to belong to Germany, and we have to ask them for it, in order to be able to progress down our focus tree to proclaim the Alpine Supremacy. If we own it, we can't bypass the focuses. Yet another example of the convoluted mechanics that the Swiss focus tree forces upon you. Well, to be fair, we are going down the right branch, and the right branch was designed as a submissive puppet branch after all. But look who's the puppet now. Uno reverse, baby! So as I mentioned earlier, we can continue down our focus tree to become an Italian puppet? Well, let's not panic here. The devs are trolling you. The name here refers to the next viable European fascist nation. However, the tag that you are supposed to be puppeted by will always be Germany, regardless of the name. But, since we already puppeted Germany, funny stuff is going to happen. The focus is completed and we progress down to demand territory from a subservient Germany. Now as you can see, the focus has no effect at all. We are still independent and Germany is still our puppet. And we can still declare wars. We pull off the same bullshit on Italy. Except, in Italy's case, I wouldn't exactly call it bullshit. Italy lasting more than a week is already too much suspension of disbelief. As Germany is our puppet, by default, they will always accept our demands. And we just demanded to be their puppet. Our name has been changed, but we're still independent, and Germany is still our bitch. But I'm sure we all don't like being a puppet, even if it's in name only. Don't worry, once we complete the final focus, our name will change to reflect our true status, supreme over the Alpine region. Far from satisfied with what we have, we demand Austria, and as expected, Germany caves like the cowards they are. Now all that's left is to select this focus and watch our color turn from blood red to steel grey. Not much left to do here except to mop up to have a nice looking endgame map. Albania was invaded and Czechoslovakia was nearly partitioned, so I will launch a war of liberation against Greece and Poland. We now have a coastline, and we need some other landlocked mountainous country to take our place. So what better choice than Czechoslovakia? Czechoslovakia shall be the new Switzerland. In this run, I have also killed Japan and Spain, as well as many other countries. The link to the full run is in this video's description. And there you have it, the Alpine Supremacy by force. Those borders sure look like a mountain, don't they? That was intentional. Now, of course, we could do what majority of the guides on YouTube are advocating. That is, to simply and politely ask for those territories. But firstly, why deal with the RNG involved? And secondly, where's the fun in that? Switzerland is now by far the most powerful nation on Earth. You can go invade the Americans, throw hands with the Soviets, whatever the hell you want. But I'm ending the run here. Those two countries don't hold any territory that I want anyway. Plus, the invasion of the US will not be difficult, but just boring. Same old spam 102 with cap and snake them to death. But at any rate, it's 1939, we have taken down 5 out of 7 starting majors, and we've restored peace in our time. For now, that is.